Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu Steve with Steve Hatherley in the studio. Hello, Steve.
Hello. Thanks for having me back one more time.
Always a pleasure having you here one more time. See, when we do this show, actually, when I'm doing Takeaway Chinese, I share a lot of my, personal detail with my friends on the internet, friends on the other side of the radio, and just, it's kind of like sharing a little bit of your life. That's what we do, right? We do,
of course.
Yeah, we do that as radio hosts. Radio and podcast hosts, we share our lives. So I always ask personal questions to whoever's sitting in that chair. And this one is a little bit personal, but I think...
My relationship with my mother...
Not going that far, of course, but I get that you're trying to say you're open to any questions.
Let's say almost any questions.
Almost any questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is actually much easier than that and much less personal if, My question is, are you a fan of movies? Are you a common moviegoer?
Yeah, 100%. Not to the theater, not so much. I think my issue with the theater is the proximity to a stranger. It makes me feel weird sitting next to somebody that I don't know in such a cramped space for 2 hours.
We're different. I really enjoy watching movie in movie theaters.
Really?
Because I'm not going to say I have ADHD or any kind of disorder. I'm not going to say I cannot just do one thing at a time. I have to do several things together simultaneously. Yet, I do have to admit, when I'm watching a movie or any kind of TV shows at home, I tend to do more things. I'll play with my phone a little bit. I might be standing or running on a treadmill while I'm watching the show. I might be playing a little bit of game, whatever.
So then what do you do in a theater?
Exactly. That's the thing. When I'm in the theater, I'll have to concentrate solely on the movie. Not only the effect of the sound, of the quality of the image is much better than at home. When I am forced to focus, I actually enjoy it much more. I am more immersed into the whole plot and everything.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We love movies, but the trip to the theater is maybe once or twice a year for us. But we watch a lot of movies at home. We love to watch them and then discuss them from an artistic point of view, from an ethical point of view, from a comedic point of view, if there happens to be any element of comedy in the movie, just whatever happens to be in the film, my wife and I, we really like sitting and talking about it afterwards.
Yes, the sharing part is also very interesting. And another thing I really enjoy about watching a movie in the theater is that the climax of the movie or any kind of surprising element happens or laughing at a point you find it funny, you can sense people laughing with you. You hear the gasp. And that feeling is also kind of nice.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's that shared experience, right?
Yes.
Then, of course, you have the bigger screen, you have the better sound, and you have the delicious snacks. What do you like to eat, by the way, when you watch a movie?
I'm very, very traditional. I like popcorn and soda.
What flavor popcorn?
A little bit salty butter kind of flavor.
Okay.
But sometimes I want it mixed.
Yeah.
The sweet ones and the savory ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we love movies. So we're talking movies today.
We're talking about movies. So how do you say movie in Chinese? Do you know that?
电影.
Perfect. 电影.
电影.
电 means electricity. And 影 actually is shadow.
Electric shadows.
Yeah, you see the electric shadows on the screen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And actually, since we're talking about electric shadow, there's also electric image, which is 电视.
电视.
TV.
Okay.
Right? So I think they're basically the same thing. It's just 电影, the electric shadow, is created a bit earlier than the electric vision, which leaves electric vision with no other choices when 电视, television actually came into being and people decided, let's find another name for it because we already give the name to movies already. And that also happens to some other phenomena or some other items in the Chinese language, in the Chinese society. Because, for example, do you know how to say bike in Chinese? 自行车.
自行车.
自 means by itself.
Okay.
行 means move. 车 is collective noun for car. So literally speaking, 自行车 is automobile.
Right. Okay. So, and then bike would be like solo moving.
No, 字 means by itself, so it can move on itself. So it's literally automobile.
Okay.
And the problem is once you have that for bike and then car happened and people are like, that's what
we already have a name for this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing about different names in the Chinese language, especially those things that are created in the modern age. In Chinese, sometimes you find, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but that was the reason behind this phenomenon.
Because one came before the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then movie theater would be dian...
Ying.
That's movie or film. But
Yes.
what about the theater itself?
Yuan.
Dianying yuan.
Yuan. Yuan can be, for example, a yard, 一个院子 or 小院儿, that's a yard.
Okay.
But it can also be a facility. So 电影院 is a movie facility. 医院, 医 is medical related. So a medical related facility would be a hospital. Or 养老院, 养老 is elder care. An elder care facility would be a house.
Understood.
So that's the idea. So it's not that complicated, I guess.
The logic leads from one to the other,
Exactly.
for sure.
So today we're going to talk about movies, the experience in movie theaters, and also some other things that leads you to enjoy a movie or something that movie experience would lead you to do. So for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. We've already provided you with some free Chinese.
Yeah, exactly.
电影院.
Yeah, you can say, now let's provide you with some more free Chinese for
A
takeaway.
lot more free Chinese. So what are some free Chinese you'd like to take away?
Well, things related to films, of course.
Oh, sure.
So we learned that a movie or a film is dianying. We learned that movie theater, you just attach yuan to the end of that.
Yes.
So dianying yuan
电影院, yes.
is a movie theater. So let's talk about some of the people in the movies or making the movies.
Of course.
So how do you say director?
Director would be 导演.
导演.
Yes. So 导 means to direct or to guide. 指导 would be to guide someone to do something or direct someone into doing certain things.
Okay.
And for example, 导游. 游 is 游览 is tour. So a 导游 is the person helping
Tour
you.
guide.
Tour guide, perfect. And 导演 演 means to act.
Okay.
Tell you how to act.
So
that would be your director.
The actor's guide.
Actor's guide
is
or
the director.
Yeah, that's the director. So 导演 would be the one who's teaching you how to or telling you how to act. And just like in English, a director is not necessarily just a director to a movie. It can be to a TV series. It can be to for example, a gala that people are not exactly acting, yet you can use that Chinese term for those kind of director as well. So just director.
Is this only related to this kind of guide? You said it can be applied to a tour guide. So I'm wondering if the name for teacher is like student guide. So Dao and then the word for student.
I appreciate the logic.
But not in this case.
Kinda in this case.
Yeah.
That's interesting because common teachers, like everyday teachers, for example, primary school teachers or even kindergarten teachers, all kinds of teachers, you can use the term 老师, teacher.
老师.
老 actually means old, but in Chinese, when you use the character 老, it's not always old. It's more like respectful sometimes. It's sometimes talking about experienced and sometimes meaning old or sometimes it's just long age.
Yes.
Yes, so that's 老. 老师, 师 is the teacher part. So 师. Yet, there is also 导师.
导师.
Remember 导演的导 and 导师的导, same 导. And 导师 would mean the kind of teacher that actually really guides you. And that would be a more serious kind of guide. Because, for example, if you're in your postgraduate study or having your PhD, of course, you still take courses from many teachers, but there's this one teacher who would tell you what to study, would tell you, guide you through the dissertation, helping you actually figure out the subject you're studying. And that person would be your 导师.
Understood.
That's a relatively narrow way of understanding this word. And if you take it into a bigger perspective, you can also say 他是我的人生导师. He is my life guide. So this serious guiding you into a relatively bigger scope would require the Chinese word 导师.
So that's director.
That's director, 导演. Yes.
What about the people who do the acting?
Ooh.
You said that yan is
Acting?
to act.
Yes.
So what would you call an actor?
Oh, that's a good question. And I sense that you're already getting the essence of the forming of Chinese words from characters.
It must be yan
related.
something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 演员.
演员.
Remember, we talked about yuan being the
theater.
person. No, that's yuan. Similar pronunciation, different tone,
okay.
different character. We've talked about the Chinese character yuan in previous episodes, using yuan as a something person, the person who is responsible for this matter. So the person who acts would be 演员. 学员, the person who studies in this specific scenario, would be the students. So 学员, study people, 学员, or 服务员. 服务 is serve. 服务员, server, or waiter, waitress.
Okay. So yuan can refer or does refer to the person who is doing
the
something.
Acting. Some yuan, yes.
So in this case, it's the person who's doing the acting, and to act is yan. So yan yuan.
演员. Yes,
演员.
perfect. 演员. That would be actor or actress. And like in a lot of other cases in the Chinese language, 演员 is not gender specific. If you want to be gender specific, you say 男演员 or 女演员. So guy actor or girl actor.
I've learned that when you're at a restaurant and you want to call the server, that you should say 服务员.
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 Yes.
Okay, now I understand why. So when I learned that, I wasn't told anything why. So they said, just say that. And I said, okay. So I did it, and it worked,
yes.
but I didn't understand the meaning behind it.
Yes.
So now I know that it means to serve and the person who's doing the serving.
Yes. 服务员.
服务员. Can that be for a man or a woman?
Both, yes.
Understood.
That's when it comes to profession or occupation. In Chinese, we rarely have something that is gender specific. That's, I think, a rule or a observation.
That's convenient, isn't it?
In the Chinese language.
Yeah.
Yes. So 演员, that would be an actor or actress. And I think one thing I'd like to share is that when people love movies, sometimes they follow the movies of a certain director. Sometimes they just really like a certain actor or actress.
Sure.
And you can say 我是他的影迷.
我是他的影迷.
影迷, 影, 电影的影. So the shadow, or actually here refers to the movie. 迷 is a fan. So I'm a big fan of yours. 我是你的影迷. I am a big fan of your movie.
Okay. So teach me again how to say I'm a fan of. 我是
I am. 你的 your. 影 is the movie. 迷 is fan. So, for example, if you're a fan of a movie, you're a 影迷. If you're a fan of song, you're a 歌迷. If you're a fan of a book or a certain series of book, you're a 书迷.
Okay.
And 影迷, 歌迷, 书迷 are words. You cannot really separate them into a structure of a sentence.
I see. Okay. So do you follow a director or do you follow an actor or an actress when you're choosing your movies?
No, I don't. I just watch everything.
Everything?
That's good.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do you get upset if the movie that you watch is not good?
Sure, everybody does.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, see, my wife can't understand this. I can enjoy almost any movie. And the reason I can enjoy almost any movie is because even if the story doesn't speak to me, even if the acting isn't amazing, I can still appreciate the work that went into the making of that artistic project. It doesn't mean that I need to love it. So at the end of a movie, if I don't really like it, I just say, oh, okay, that's not bad, I guess. It takes a lot for me to say, wow, that was terrible. I will never watch another movie from that director ever again or something like that. I have a very, very high tolerance for
Yes,
for poor films.
Well, I think sometimes if the movie is too boring, I will find the storytelling not good enough. Then I cannot tolerate it.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And another kind of occasion that can upset me would be it's when it's inappropriate for me and the person I'm going to the movie with. So, for instance, my husband and I went to see La La Land
Okay.
in Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And we were like, if you're putting the movie about a previous couple who are clearly still in love with each other, yet they're already with their current partner,
Yeah.
and you're putting the movie on theater on Valentine's Day, you're aiming at upsetting people, you know?
I see. Funny you mentioned that movie because
It's a good movie.
no,
it just
that is
upsets
what
me.
that is one of the movies that I really don't like. They start singing immediately.
yes.
On the highway of all
Yes.
places. Nobody sings on the highway. And give me 5 minutes of dialogue before you start singing a song, please. That's all I ask. Now, I realize maybe I am more critical of movies than I thought I was.
See, Takeaway Chinese would want you to release yourself on the show.
You know, though, when I visited Los Angeles, I was hanging out. Do you remember near the end of La La Land, they were in a jazz bar?
Yes.
Yeah, I was in that place.
Wow.
Yeah, well, not really wow, actually. It's
Oh,
just
really?
Yeah, it's just a normal like pub restaurant next to the
But
walk.
still, with the glare of the movie, and if you really like it, La La Land is it's a poor example in this scenario. Yeah, if you really like the movie, if I really like the movie, I would love to go to where it's shot.
It's the magic of film, though.
Yes.
In the movie, it looks like such a cool, mysterious like bar or
yeah,
whatever.
it's with the vibe. And,
Yeah, no vibe. It's just like a regular place, but there's pictures on the wall of like them shooting there. So it's kind of cool, I guess.
It's kind of cool. And for me, because I am not a native here in Beijing, actually, I came here around 10 years ago and I started to stay here. And I've watched a lot of different movies and different TV shows before coming here and walking in those hutongs. The first time walking in the Forbidden City
Right.
in Gugong, and the first time walking in the Summer Palace, it's really magical to me.
Yeah, having seen that before you get there. And especially when you see that in a movie before you get
Yes.
there. Yeah, it makes it more special, I guess. I think I would have felt more excited about visiting that place in Los Angeles if I had enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
A
right.
good movie has to be in the equation.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're listening and you love La La Land, please don't be offended.
Please.
Most people do love that movie. I just
It's a good movie. It's
Yeah.
just for me, I was a bit, awkward. I was like, should I be thinking about my, exes right now? But I really love my husband and we're in a good relationship. But is he thinking about his ex because of the movie? It's just a weird moment,
I guarantee he was not. I guarantee he wasn't. By the way, what's his name again? Ryan Gosling?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't need to watch him sing.
You are critical.
It's like Les Miserables, when Hugh Jackman and Russell Crowe are singing. I felt like, why? Why?
sing.
Don't
Act.
do that. Yeah,
Act.
exactly. Just use your words. That's enough for me.
But, movie is such a powerful and interesting art because in a movie, you can literally do anything. It can be a fantasy. You can travel in time. You can include any kind of element as long as it makes sense and it's a good movie
yeah.
in your movie. And you can even... I think I've seen actor acting with an animated character.
Oh, yes, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And or if you want to do a really good... recently, 哪吒2. That is a really good, very successful, and actually a good story. And it's an animation.
I'm still trying to watch that movie.
You should definitely go. That's a
Yeah.
good movie. That movie does not remind you of bad things happening in your life. Or sometimes it's just, some challenges. It will remind you of the challenges you meet in life. life, yet it will inspire you to figure out some better ways to deal with the problems. I think it's a really good movie.
By the way, speaking about, traveling to different worlds and those types of things in film, they use special effects. How do you say special effects in Chinese?
特效.
特效.
特 means special, so 特殊 special. 效 is 效果, so literally special effect.
Oh, literally. This 特 is always meaning special, like special occasion. Would the same 特 be
Yes,
same?
you can use the same 特, but that's the thing in Chinese. Sometimes you can find a word for an English word. Sometimes you can find a word for two English words. For example, special effect. Yet in Chinese, it's just one word, 特效. But like you said, a special occasion. In Chinese, that'll be two words. 特殊的时间,特殊情况. So it's more like 特殊 in itself means special. And you can use 特殊 for some other. Because in English, for instance, you can say a special in a restaurant.
Yes, right.
Yeah. In Chinese, it can be 套餐, a set. It can also be 特别推荐, special recommendation. But we do not really have a very specific word for, special in the sense that a special in a restaurant. So that's the thing about different languages, I think. So special effect would be 特效. And in a lot of good movies, you can see the 特效 happening. I think it's a vice versa scenario because we've already discussed that traveling to the places where the movie is made can be quite magical.
Yeah.
Sometimes seeing a scene that you're very familiar with, but with some special effect happening in the very common, very familiar kind of setting is also very interesting. So it's a different direction of interesting.
I think seeing a place that you've never been before is cool too. The example that I'm thinking of is the film Rush Hour. We call him Jackie Chan, right?
Yes.
Rush Hour was filmed, I think the opening scene was in Hong Kong or something like that.
Oh, yes.
But seeing that, I had never been to Hong Kong before, and I didn't know that was Hong Kong in the opening of the film, but it made me look it up, right? So I think when you have cool places on display in films for people that have never been to those locations, it can inspire them to look up where that is and
go
and want to go. Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever watched any Chinese films that you think worth mentioning?
Oh, I mean, when I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that was a great film, and that was really popular in Western countries too. And it was just something that I had never seen before, really. Maybe I'm not an expert on Chinese films at all. I can't say I've even really seen any yet, but that style of filmmaking, that kind of mystery and otherworldly, people being able to fly and things like that. I had never seen anything like that before. So I thought it was beautiful. And the setting was beautiful too, in this kind of mysterious forest. And
yes.
Yeah, it was
with
cool.
Bamboo.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think for a lot of Chinese movies, not only can you see Chinese actors and also the story, there's also the very Chinese and Eastern style aesthetic. The setting of the background, the clothing, the matching of different colors. And for 卧虎藏龙, that's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. 卧虎藏龙, that's the movie. It's not only about specific locations it's made. It's more like if you go visit traditional Chinese gardens, if you go to a tourist attraction in China that is not that commercialized, you can see that vibe, that kind of way of understanding and creating beauty is deeply rooted in Chinese people's heart.
Yeah.
And that's why in a lot of different places, you can kind of feel the same vibe.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because you being from China would see that film through a different lens, right? As someone who has never been to China before or has no experience with Chinese culture or Chinese films at all, it would mean something to you that it probably wouldn't mean to someone viewing something Chinese for the first time, right? But that doesn't mean it would be viewed poorly, just from a different angle.
Just so many Hamlets, so many readers
Yeah.
scenario.
Yeah, exactly. That was a great movie. Ang Lee, right?
Yes. And also, there are many places in China. Since we're on the topic, I'd like to recommend to those of you who have or have not watched a movie made in those places. Beijing, for sure. We've mentioned Beijing several times. If you are thinking about traditional Chinese movies or movies featuring the stories happened in ancient China, you would definitely want to come to China, come to Beijing, or also come to Xi'an. Those are some very historical places. At the same time, I don't know if you know this, but if you're a fan of Avatar, actually, Zhangjiajie National Park, right?
Yeah, right.
Zhangjiajie National Park in Hunan, central China, is one of the most beautiful parks in the world. The mountains stand like swords, the peaks like small elevating territories that emerge from the clouds below. And these, actually the unique landscape caught the attention of James Cameron, and he traveled here to find inspiration for, Avatar. So if you go visit Zhangjiajie, you might feel a little bit of a similarity.
Yeah, and that was actually number 1 or number 2 on my places to visit here in the country. It's so popular with tourists. And I was going to go during one of the national holidays, and everybody said, no, during the national holiday.
Oh, no, you shouldn't.
That's what everybody, they were like, no, don't go there during a national holiday. Use your own time.
Use your own time.
Because of the sheer number of people that would be traveling there at the time. Yeah, I can't wait to see it, though. It looks stunning.
Yeah, and previously I've posted some photos of different places in China and asked my, internet friends whether or not they would like to visit. And some friends said, give me a Chinese visa so I can go to these beautiful places.
Yeah, right.
And I have to say, actually, we have a stay here for 240 hours policy allowing you to stay without a visa. So the visa-free policy, take advantage of it, Really, really do so. Come over, enjoy. And one other place I would like to recommend would be Guilin.
Guilin?
Guilin actually is a very, very beautiful place because in Chinese we have a saying, 桂林山水甲天下. So it means...
I heard water in there somewhere. Is it near a lake?
No, 山水 means mountain and water. So it's like the landscape in Guilin is one of the top among the world. So it's a really beautiful place. And the reason I'm mentioning it today is that I only just found out that the movie Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, actually it was filmed using Guilin's karst lens.
No way.
Exactly, marking the first time these unique formations appeared in a Western movie.
Wow. I've seen that movie, but I didn't know it was shot there.
Yeah, so a lot of beautiful places here. And if you like the movies, if you like the scenes in those movies, come over. You would enjoy it even more.
100% true.
And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niuniu Lin with Steve here in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. Don't forget to leave your questions, comments, and probably a 5-star rating. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
谢谢，see you next time.